Welcome to Salsido Paranormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, and today I am continuing my review of the Twilight Zone TV series. And as always, you can find all episodes of the show, along with social media and other ways to contact me, as well as other ways to support the show, over on the website, which is salsidoparanormal.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.com. And so it's been quite a little while now since I've done one of these review shows of the Twilight Zone, and I'm glad to be getting back to this. I don't know what episode number this is going to be. These are the ones I sort of save for when I don't get to do the regular episodes. So yeah, but we're getting back into season 2 of the Twilight Zone TV series, and we are on Season 2, Episode 9. And this, of course, the title of this show, or episode, is The Trouble with Templeton. So this show starts off, features an aging Broadway actor named Booth Templeton. He's at home, and he's watching his current wife, Doris, flirting with a man by the pool. And Booth is, you would think, of course, he'd be really upset by that, but he is sort of just watching and barely interested. He hasn't, and it's because he hasn't gone through any, or he hasn't had any major success with his career in many years, and also he's hasn't had any, hasn't really felt close to his wife, his current wife. Apparently, it's the second wife, since the beginning, and so he's talking about all this. They're thinking about all this, and he starts thinking about his first wife, Laura, who died after they had been married for 7 years. So, Booth goes to attend the first rehearsal of his new play, and he learns that the director has been replaced. And this new director, his name is Arthur Willis, does not have any interest or show any respect for Booth and what he's experienced, and questions Booth's commitment to the play. And really, Booth is this is not helping Booth's mood at the time. So at that point, he's feeling a lot of pressure, and he's really unhappy. And he runs out the stage door, just completely done with dealing with everyone there, apparently. And when he does that, he notices that things look different in this theater. And it looks like it had looked 30 years earlier. And so as he enters this room that was familiar to him, but hadn't looked the way it did in the show here for 30 years, a stagehand tells him that his wife, Laura, is waiting for him at the speakeasy around the corner. Of course, speakeasies, if I could talk. If I could, ironically enough, speak easy. Sorry about that. Couldn't help it. These are places where people would go to drink back in the days of Prohibition, when drinking was outlawed. So, so he goes to this place and finds Laura sitting there, and she is also, same as current wife had been, she's flirting with a much younger man named Barney. And so as Booth walks into this place, he's amazed to see his deceased wife. And when they talk, he is noticing that she's not the way she was, not the way he remembers her being. Very not showing any affection really. And she's actually using a script for a play to fan herself because it's hot in the room, basically. And so he's begging Laura to get back together again with him, basically, to sort of to refocus on them being together again. And in his frustration, he grabs the script that she is using to fan herself with. And eventually she and Barney tell Booth to leave. And as he does, everyone in the speakeasy stops and looks at him with sadness, and the music stops, and the room goes dark. So no one really knows here, as far as viewers go, what's going on, because at first you think it's just a simple time travel story. But then why would these other things happen? So the question is, to me anyway, is there something going on with his mind? Is it only his mind that's traveled back in time and he's losing focus on that time as he's going through this weird experience? I don't know. But so this whole time he's been panicked and doesn't know what is going on. So he runs back into the theater. And when he goes to that same door that he had passed through before, to get back into the past, he finds himself back in the present time. And he's roasting because of all the action and moving and being in a hot place to begin with, in the speakeasy. And he fans himself with this script. And he notices that it's for a play that the title is What to Do When Booth Comes Back, which is really fascinating because then you have to wonder who is the one posing that question. So anyway, Booth feels at this point that he had an encounter with spirits from his past, whether literally or metaphorically, that they were not trying to mock him as it appeared. They were, but they staged a performance of their own for him in order to help him break free from his sort of paralyzing nostalgia, his longing for the past, for previous days and people and times. And of course, at that point, he realizes that Laura actually did love him, and she was, again, one of the participants in this play. Not in the play necessarily that he's holding in his hand, in some other kind of cosmic, spiritual realm play that he somehow experienced. And so Booth realized that she didn't want him to be stuck in the past. So Booth goes back to the rehearsal and dismisses the producer of the play and tells this director he will not tolerate being spoken down to. And the play goes on and goes as he wants it to, and he starts to sort of live more happily in the present time. Now that he's had this strange paranormal experience. So it really is a wild episode, because at first it did seem like it was just time travel, but then again, I wonder how much of that was. It could have been spirits, it could have been ghosts, so to speak, that stopped him in the middle of that other room, especially if no one was there, and made him go into this sort of trance, and then played out this whole experience that he thought he had physically, but didn't really. And then he came out of it just in time to go back through that door and everything sort of work out and have him realize, or at least think he figures out what happened. So So it was a neat show, and as always, I do suggest watching all these shows when you can. So moving on to the this next episode here, because I don't think I have much else to say about that one other than just, I guess I do. It was neat that it sort of leaned one way at first, I thought, with the time travel aspect. And then it leaned more into sort of nightmare territory with someone that he loved, that loved him, appearing to not love him the way that she had. And then having everything in the room that he was in go dark, which frightened him out of that speakeasy, or what appeared to be that speakeasy, and back into the real world. So it really is an amazing episode there. Moving on to the next one here. And this is A Most Unusual Camera. This is season 2, episode 10. I believe. Let me double check on that. And let me see here. So let me make sure, double check. Season 2, episode 10. There we go. I like to confirm these things because I think I messed up before in the earlier parts of this series. So this show is about two thieves, husband and wife, Chester and Paula Diedrich, and the show opens with them where they've just robbed an antique shop and returned to the hotel that they were using as a hideout. And so they're sorting through what they got from the antique shop, and Chester feels like most of the things they got were garbage. And then at one point, in the middle of all the things that they got, he finds this strange old box camera. And when he takes a picture of Paula, it shows, it gives a self-developing picture of her. So it's a fairly advanced one in terms of technology at the time, I'm guessing. But it shows her wearing a fur coat. And of course, he thinks it's just a malfunction in the camera somehow. And he tosses it aside, puts it aside. And they keep sorting through all the stuff they got. And Paula looks inside a stolen chest, and she finds a fur coat and puts it on. And Chester, and then she also, after the fact, realize that the picture that had come out of the camera was of a moment in the future. So they are stunned by this, because of course he wouldn't be if that happened in the real world. And they take another picture, and they of the apartment just empty, in the process of handling it and everything. There's no one in the picture. In the apartment at the time, but in the picture, it shows Paula's brother, Woodward. That's his name, who had just escaped from prison. Of course, they didn't know that until he showed up. They thought he was still in prison. And when he got there, he told them that what happened. And of course, they realized that first picture was not a mistake or a fluke. They realized that picture, or the camera, was somehow taking pictures of future moments. So, as they're sitting there trying to figure out what to do with this camera and everything, they have the TV on, and of course there's a horse race on TV. And of course Chester gets the idea to take a picture of the blank winner's board at the local track before each of the day's races, the next day basically, and then place bets based on the pictures results. So after 8 pictures, let me see. Wait, I think I missed a spot here. I am looking at Okay, there we go. I missed a couple sentences there. I'm using a document here from online to remind me of exactly what happened here, because it's been a little while since I've actually listened to these shows. So in doing this and taking pictures of the winner board that is empty at the time, the pictures do reveal the winners of the races, and at that point, the three of them win thousands of dollars on this using this camera. And they go back to their suite and celebrate. And as they order things, food and drink to be delivered to their room, and the waiter that comes to bring everything over notices the camera and translates this inscription on it that is in French as, let me see here, 10 to an owner. In other words, referring to the number of pictures, apparently, that can be taken on this picture or in this camera. So, of course, the Chester and others are worried now, and also they realize that if they're not careful, someone, including Pierre and anyone else around, could discover what they have on their hands there. And also they're thinking, as after they hear this, how many pictures have they taken? And so Chester realizes that at this point they've taken a total of 8 pictures. And so they're trying to figure out what to do next. And as they're trying to do that, they're talking about it, they are arguing so much that they are handing the camera, or taking the camera in some cases from each other, back and forth. And they accidentally take a picture that shows Paula horrified. But that's all it shows. And she backs away from this camera at this point. And there starts to. And so Chester and Woodward continue arguing over it. And they, as they are arguing and fighting over this camera, they get too close to a window, and they end up pulling each other through the window and falling out and to their death, while dropping the camera, of course, back in the room. And Paula, and of course, as they're doing this, the camera takes one more picture, and the last picture, and Paula picks up the camera in the picture and calms down once she notices that, or once she realizes that she doesn't have to take any pictures, and she can keep all the money that is still in the apartment, still in the suite, for herself. I'm sorry. So there wasn't one more picture that was taken in the struggle. That didn't make sense to me. I was thinking about that. Sorry about that. Small details are hard for me to notice when I'm listening to these shows, so I do make mistakes here and there. But so she has the one picture left on the camera, and she takes it. And she takes a final picture of the 2 bodies on the ground and gets ready to leave. But before she can, the waiter, Pierre, comes back in the room. And he realizes that the 2 guys that were in the room with her are now not there anymore, and they've fallen and are dead. And he uses this as a threat to turn her into the police if she calls them to stop him from taking all the money. And at this point, she still hasn't looked at the camera yet. She hasn't looked at the last picture that has been taken with the camera. And so Pierre looks at it too, and he notices that it shows more than 2 bodies in the courtyard below. Of course, this is a hotel, so who knows how many floors up there are. And they don't show it, luckily, but they don't show the actual ground, I don't believe. But anyway, Paula goes to the window to check as Pierre is getting all the money. and trips on a cord, electrical cord, and falls out the window herself, leaving Pierre to take all the money. And notices that as so I'm getting confused here. Anyway, glancing at the picture, let's see. So the ninth picture, I'm guessing. He remarks that there's more than 2 bodies on the ground in the courtyard. So I'm guessing maybe there's 4 at that point. Anyway, when Pierre counts the picture, the bodies in the picture, again, they doesn't really show clearly. He notices that there are 4 instead of 3, and this freaks him out so much that he drops the camera and backs away from it, and he's right near the window, and falls out as well. Can you imagine? I've just been thinking about this now as I'm talking about all this. Can you imagine being the police arriving on that scene and trying to figure out what happened there? I will say that the way that all of the characters sort of met their end through the window is a bit much in a way, but putting that aside, it is amazing that you have these pictures that are predicting the future. And of course, it is sort of a cautionary tale in a way, sort of pointing out the fact that everyone there involved was stealing and attacking each other and everything. But putting that aside, the idea of a camera taking or developing pictures of the present, it makes me think about cases where people take pictures either of anything really anomalous, or they're in a place where they've heard that there's supposed to be weird things happening there, and they take a picture and nothing's there, and then they take another one right away, and there's some kind of something there. I wonder if there's some kind of time involved in that, time distortion. I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me if there was some kind of relationship between energy and time and how all that works that could possibly, maybe some pictures that are taken of weird things either in the sky or in buildings or outside. I wonder, in cases where they're not seen physically with the person's eyes, if they're seeing some kind of a time distortion in that case. Just a thought. I have no idea for sure, but I think it's a neat idea as well. And whenever it comes to these stories about objects that do weird things, it's in these shows, it never seems to end up well for most of the characters. And that sort of parallels to the idea of antiques having effects and having possibly consciousness attached to them. And not all cases of that end up turning out terribly, especially with the person who got the item being killed. Obviously, I think that's a mind, probably not non-existent to just very, very small percentage of any kind of paranormal experiences people have with either antiques or just strange items they find. But as I always say, I have no idea for sure about any of this. These are just ideas and concepts. So, but thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all next time on Salsido Paranormal. Take care.